Belizees! Welcome back to the Weekly Download, where we break down the stories Belize is talking about. Tonight, we're looking at election boundaries that seem to have been left unread, new technology helping Belize keep a closer eye on our seas, and the jaguar encounter that had everybody online suddenly applying for a job at the forest department. We're also meeting a Belizean innovator using artificial intelligence to make life easier for teachers. There's plenty to unpack. Let the download commence. Imagine lining up for the hottest party in Belize, but some people get VIP wristbands just because of where they live. That's basically what these old constituency boundaries are doing. Some divisions have over 10,000 voters. Others don't even crack 3,000. And we're still using the same map like it's a hand me down Nokia. We've heard redistricting soon, more times than we've heard at a close from the taxi man. At this point, the boundaries need an update almost as badly as our roads. Because one person, one vote shouldn't depend on your zip code. Belize just got 3 new marine monitoring stations, and before you scroll, because science, hear me out, this is basically giving the sea an Apple Watch. It'll track waves, sea temperatures, storms, and all things Mother Nature likes to surprise us with. In a country where one hurricane can turn your weekend plans into a national emergency, that's a pretty big deal. So, yes, it's not as exciting as a new food spot opening to you. But knowing when the sea is about to act up, that's kind of the update we actually need. Everybody suddenly became like a wildlife expert this week. Yes, touching a wild jaguar cub was a bad call, full stop. Even the people who were there called it unnecessary. But here's the thing, two things can be true at once. Someone can make a reckless mistake and have years of genuine conservation work behind them. The forest department is investigating the incident, and that's exactly what should happen. But maybe we save the final verdict after the facts, not after the comment section finishes its shift. Before we continue, tonight we're introducing a new segment on the weekly download, our portrait series. In this series, we'll step away from the headlines for a moment and get to know familiar Belizean figures from a more personal perspective through the experiences, values, and the people that help shape them. We begin with Prime Minister John Briceño, who reflects on the person who kept him grounded when life became difficult and the lesson he still carries with him today. Let's take a look.
I think there are three persons that stand out growing up. Obviously, my dad, my mom, and my brother Jaime. As I said earlier, my dad taught me about not being arrogant. And, that is something he would not tolerate. I remember, and to be respectful at all times. I remember once I called a lady a name that I should not. I think I was in standard five. I think I was about 11 years old. And somehow my father learned about it. And when he got home, he gave me a lashing. He hardly ever lashed me. I must be honest here about that. But he told me, he says, "You do not disrespect people," and I think that's something that it's still with me, that you do not disrespect people. And my mother about being kind and being helpful, and you don't need to be arrogant about who you are and what you are about. In um, Jaime is my conscience. My brother. He keeps me grounded. That whenever he sees something that's going wrong or we should not be doing, be it in my personal or in my political life, he'll be the first one to call me and say, "John, I think I don't think that is right. I think we have to do better." So I'm grateful to these three persons that I've grew up with now, with both my dad, my mom, and Jaime.
A reminder that behind every public figure is a personal story, and often someone who helped them remain grounded along the way. Artificial intelligence is transforming the way we work, learn, and create. But one Belizean educator is making sure teachers are a part of that future. Dr. Adriana Coleman developed Aiden Teach, an AI powered platform designed to help educators save time, reduce workload, and focus more on their students. Tonight, we talk to Dr. Adriani and explore the innovation behind the platform and her vision for the future of education. Hello, how are you? Okay, so I know you started Aiden Teach. What's the story behind the name?
The story behind the name. Wow. Okay. So Aiden is actually the name of my son. And because of his autism diagnosis, I had to stay as a teacher. Well, I didn't have to stay really, but I chose to stay with him because he needed the assistance in his educational journey. So I stayed in the teaching profession until he graduated from high school. And that inspired the way I taught. His autism made me question everything. I know I said that, but it's really the truth. I question every single thing about education, especially with his diagnosis. Why do we have to have tests? Why do we have to go to school 5 days a week? Why do we have to give homework? All the whys, why do we have to do national testing and regional testing? Why? And it really made me look at education very, very different. And it made me look at the children very different.
Okay. So, Dr. Coleman, Aiden Teach wasn't just a response to the rise of AI, it was a platform you intentionally built for educators. So, what problem did you see in the teaching community that made you say there needs to be a better way?
Oh my goodness. So that is a very compounded question because there's no one straightforward answer. But having been in the classroom, it really gave me that perspective. I was on the ground as a teacher, and then being a teacher leader at different institutions, and then working as a homeroom teacher. So you get all these experiences as a teacher, and then you get all these duties that you have to do on top of just teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is the problem because we have to do so many things and we don't really have a lot of time in the day. I know a lot of teachers sacrifice weekends and nights,
Yep.
and then you're always onto a deadline. You're from one deadline to the next as a teacher. And so the platform is built to assist with that so that the teachers can get back their time and actually go in the classroom and teach and connect with their students. That was really what I was looking at. So the major problem, if I had to sum it up, was to give back teachers their time, their precious time.
So, building an AI platform designed specifically for teachers is a major undertaking. And what was the process like? Turning an idea into a real tool, specialized AI bots? And how did you decide what teachers actually needed help with the most?
My goodness, the process. The
Mm-hmm.
process started when Aiden was born. I'm just kidding. I didn't know at the time that was destiny. But in 2023, I was doing my doctoral studies, and you have to do your thesis, your
Mm-hmm.
dissertation. And the question that I had was, how can we use the technology that is available right now to assist educators? And then I designed a prototype based on that. And then, of course, OpenAI became OpenAI. It released to the public in that same time. Actually, it released in 2022, I believe. But people didn't know. They didn't know what it was. And then, well, I knew what it was. So I saw the implications immediately and I started to design a prototype. And then I was not, I, by no stretch of the imagination, a coder or a developer or a programmer. I know things about IT, but I am not that advanced. And so I started to look for someone to assist me with that because I said if I had to learn coding and build this platform the way I was envisioning it, it would take long.
Yeah.
It would take a long time. And so I started to put my feelers out for a developer, and then doing my own coding along the way. That was a lot of fun. I cried a lot during that time because if you know about coding, one little
One little bug.
colon, one little comma, your code won't work, or you're building it with the AI because then the AI came out, and so it was easier to use that to help you. But then it might work here, but when you upload it to your site, it's not gonna work. And then you have to debug, so you actually have to know how to read code. Fun times, fun times. And so I realized if I wanted to get it off the ground quickly, I needed a professional to help me with that, and that was a journey on its own. So it was a steep learning curve. I did learn a lot about software development. Software development is a whole other ball game. I mean, really, you start to learn things like front end, back end, UI, UX, and the different coding languages, and then the limitations that you have in Belize,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to e-commerce. That was a separate journey. So it's been a learning journey. But one of the main things that I focused on this journey is to use Belizean entrepreneurs and to use our Belizean financial system to build my system because I wanted it to be truly Belizean. So that was that part of the journey. Now, when deciding which bots, I sat and I started to think. I went back in teacher mode and I said, okay, every day when I'm in the classroom, what help did I need?
Mm-hmm.
And I started to catalog those. And that's how I decided which bots I would put.
You've talked about expanding Aiden Tech beyond Belize and like into the wider Caribbean. How do you plan on scaling this up to the region, or how do you plan on doing that?
Well, those wheels are in motion already.
Mm-hmm.
So I have studied a lot. I have studied beyond my degrees. I am always in a fellowship, some fellowship. I'm always putting myself out there so that I can build my network. And and I've been doing that ever since I started my business in 2020. And so people would say you're a professional student, and in a way that's true. So I'm always in a fellowship or I'm always in a course, and that helps to build my network. And so I learn and I implement, but then I also have a network. So I have reached out to my network already in the Caribbean. I've been getting very good responses. And so that's one of the way I plan to scale. The beauty with technology now is that I can boost a post in Jamaica, in Aruba, anywhere that I want to. I'm not limited to Belize. Although I've started in Belize, I'm springboarding from Belize into the Caribbean.
How do you hope it will transform the way educators teach across the region?
Okay, well, when we were doing testing with Aid and Teach, um, what happened in the testing room really, really was what I wanted. So the teachers started to have a conversation about the tools and how they will use it with their students, with their actual students. And that made me feel so accomplished in that moment. For example, they were looking at the behavior matrix. That's one of the bots for discipline. And they were saying, my student so and so could really use this. Instead of giving him a demerit, instead of scolding him, we can actually do this with him. And they started to talk about it, and then they started to say, oh, and this one can use it too. And I
Mm-hmm.
really, really love that conversation. I have not met that student. I don't know who that person is, but their teachers are thinking of them in a positive way, in a way to say, all right, let's work with them this way. We've tried this, it's not working. And that's really what I wanted. And they did the same thing with the other bots. They started to talk about having a whole school approach with certain things, and that was my hope for that. So it will transform the way educators teach, especially if they come together and implement what's there. And that's all I could have hoped for, because then it will have an impact on the students, and that's really what I want.
Teachers just have golden hearts. Oh my goodness. I love teachers so much. Okay. I think that's good. And then, like you said, it gives them that little leverage or that leeway so that they can truly build their connection with their students without like the heaviness of admin work and all of those other tasks that teachers and those other
Yes.
hats that they have to wear.
Yes, definitely.
So, if you want to keep up with Dr. Coleman and all the revolutionary things she's going to be doing, how can they do that, Dr. Coleman?
Okay, great. Well, I have two websites. I have my business website, dlpsbelize.com. You can contact me there, or you can also go to aidanteach.com and you can contact me there as well. You can see all the latest things that I've been doing. I put up there. I also have social media pages, Facebook, Instagram. I have not started on TikTok yet. Soon. But mostly you will find my content on Facebook.
Okay, and what's your handle on Facebook or Instagram?
Well, I have DLPS Belize on Facebook. I also have Aiden Teach on Facebook. I have Adriani Coleman on Facebook. So you can find and follow us anywhere.
And what could people do to support you and your vision?
Okay, well, I would encourage you, if you know a teacher who has a heart of gold, and I think that's all of them. You can refer them, you can buy them a gift, a subscription. It's actually, for the premium subscription, it's less than $1 Belize a day
Oh,
for the subscription. So you can help a teacher out that way. Trust me, you will get it back in time. You know, it's like an investment in a teacher.
for $1 a day, you too can help a teacher who's in desperate need of some admin assistance.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Coleman. This was honestly a heartwarming interview. I very passionate about education and helping teachers be the best teachers they can be, creating an enabling environment, and I feel like you're doing that. And you may be too humble, but you are doing revolutionary work for Belize, in my opinion. Okay?
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And that's your download for tonight. We covered outdated election boundaries and smarter marine monitoring, conservation debates, artificial intelligence in education, and the people who help keep us grounded. This week reminded us that Belize is constantly changing, even when some of our systems and comment sections seem determined not to. As always, let us know which story had you talking. Download complete.